My girlfriend lived 2 hours away. She'd drive over on weekends and I'd drive over whenever I could, but I had two kids and I wasn't introducing them to anyone until I knew it was serious. Eventually, I knew, and I said, "Move in with me." And she did, which meant she quit her job. 2 hours away, no job, living off of her savings while we figured out what came next. The obvious answer is to get a job nearby, but that meant before and after school care for my kids, which is expensive, really expensive. And we lived right next to the school, so the kids could walk to and from school with no problems, except that I was at work and the school hours didn't match, the work hours that I was putting in. So I was sitting at my machine one day when I heard it, a podcast where some guy was talking about retail arbitrage, buying stuff from stores and flipping it on Amazon for profit. At that time, I still thought Amazon just sold all of their own stuff. I didn't realize that it was thousands of sellers all competing on the same platform. I came home and told her about it, and she looked into it. Well, the next day, while I was at work and the kids were, at school, she went shopping. She came home before the kids did, scanned products, started listing them, and figuring out how to send them into Amazon. She started flipping dollars. Over the next few weeks, I saw what was happening. I was like, "Yo, I want in on this. This is really cool." And she looked at me and said, "No, this is my thing. You already have a job. I need the money." We laugh about it now, but she was serious then. Well, eventually she let me in. We started hitting to stores and things together. Weekends, flea markets, yard sales, Walmart clearance aisles at 7 a.m. We found Battleship games on clearance for $5 and sold them for $25, $30. Electric corkscrews for $5 and sold them for $35, $45. We were flipping pretty easily. And at the time, we didn't need much to live off of. I was still working full time, but we got burned out. Constant shopping, constant replenishing, always hunting for the next clearance shelf, not guaranteed to find anything on every trip. I said, "Well, what if we made our own product?" So we started looking into the whole private label thing, but we didn't really want to just slap our name on someone else's product. So we designed something, our own idea, our own product, no patents, no complications, just a simple drawstring mesh bag for produce. A plastic alternative with earth tone colors that was actually attractive. But first, we had to send $1,500 overseas to a factory that we'd never met. That was terrifying, especially because $1,500 was a lot of money to us at the time. It took us a while of just flipping other things to save up that much money. I mean, we had gotten samples from them, everything looked right, but it's still scary wiring money to another country and hoping products show up, a couple months later. And eventually they did. We created our first brand, listed the bags, and sales started coming in. Eventually, the sales they exploded. At our peak, we were selling over 150 units every single day, one product. It was absolutely mind-blowing. I've been running machines for almost 20 years at that point, trading hours for checks. I knew what hard work looked like, commuting an hour both ways to and from work, right? But this, selling 150 a day while I was sleeping, that was different. That's when we realized that this wasn't just a way to keep her home anymore. This could bring me home too. We started taking it serious, really serious. And eventually, I did walk away from my full-time job. 4 years in, and we had a full shipping container show up at our front door, right in our neighborhood. I bought a rolling conveyor belt to unload it. We filled our entire front living room with boxes. I know my neighbors had to think I was crazy. We had gotten married by then. We had 2 more kids. Our kids watched us work from home. Every day, breakfast together, lunch together, I was there. Of course, success brought problems. Knockoffs flooded the market. Overseas sellers copying our design, worse quality, lower prices, more units in the packaging. They just raced to the bottom. That's what they do. Then one guy showed up out of nowhere with 10,000 reviews. We had 5,000 authentic reviews that we had earned over a couple of years of selling. And he had just popped up out of nowhere with 10,000 reviews, right? So I knew it wasn't genuine, but most people don't know that. They see the most reviews and they think, well, that must be the best one. It's an appeal to popularity. It's manipulation, but it works. And then COVID hit and a lot of things changed. But here's the truth. We didn't take this seriously at first. We weren't trying to build an empire. We were just trying to keep her home with the kids. That was enough. But once we saw the potential, once we realized what was actually possible, everything changed. Here's what nobody tells you about building an e-commerce business. It's going to force you to override years of programming. For nearly 20 years, I lived by one rule. Show up on Monday, get paid on Friday. Clear, simple, safe. But building something online, you work for months without proof that it's working. You spend $1,500 overseas and hope that products show up. You design a product and bet that strangers will want to buy it. You list it and wait and wait and wonder, did you just light your whole savings on fire? Most guys can't do that. They need Friday's paycheck too badly. Their brains won't let them bet on themselves. But if you can push through that, if you can rewire what providing for your family actually means, you can get something better than just money. You get mornings and afternoons and lunch around your own table. You get to watch your kids grow up, not just on weekends and evenings, every day. That's what this whole thing is really about. Not about the money, not about the freedom, not even the business. It's about being there, actually there. And that's pretty special. Look, if you made it this far into this video, you're different. Most people have swiped away this video within the first several seconds. They're convinced the only way to provide is to leave every morning and hope for Friday shows up with their paycheck. But you watch this whole thing, which tells me something about you. You're wired differently. Like me, you see what's possible. And you're willing to sit through a 7-minute video to understand how someone else figured it out. That's rare. I'm going to be putting out a lot more content like this. Real stories, real strategies, the stuff that actually worked for us and the stuff that didn't. Not just theory, not frameworks, just what we learned building multiple brands from our living room while our kids sat and did homework at the kitchen table. We're just getting started here, and I want to help as many people as I can over the coming weeks, months, and years. People who are tired of trading time for checks, people who want to be home, people who are willing to rewire 20 years of conditioning to build something for themselves. If that's you, hit follow, because we're just getting started.